folks, welcome to another episode of The Path to You. Today we are joined by former NFL player Langston Walker. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So as we start every episode, Langston, how did you get to this point in your life?
A lot of trial, a lot of error, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Bad decisions, good decisions. I guess my background, was born and raised in Oakland, California. Went to Bishop O'Dowd High School. From there, got a full scholarship for football to UC Berkeley. Go Bears.
Yeah.
9 years in the NFL, and then went back, got my MBA from St. Mary's. Go Gales.
Yeah.
A lot of allegiances. And then I got out into the quote unquote the real world, and that is how I got to this point. It was something that was important to me to sort of continue my career, even though it changed drastically. I felt that, and I think a lot of athletes agree that even though we're in sort of a non-traditional work field initially, the skills definitely transfer, and you use a lot of the, I still use a lot of the skills that I learned in sports, in my current role, maybe I'm not hitting anyone or being physical or anything like that, but I send a strongly worded email and things get done. I still have to work with coworkers, peers, bosses, and then also people that might work under you. So it's managing people, it's relationships, and that's what's important, no matter what field you're in, what you're doing. So I think anybody agrees with that. Everyone agrees with that.
Yeah. So why did you choose to go for your MBA versus another sort of degree? Or to go get a degree in general?
My family background is education. My mom is a teacher, or was a teacher. She retired. My father, before he passed away, he had his MBA, and so it was just sort of like a natural next step for me. And I probably would have done it a lot earlier, but I sort of happened into football, and then was in for 9 years. And then once I retired, took some time off, found me, had to sort of figure out what I wanted to do, and this is where I ended up, and I felt it would be the best for me. A lot of guys, once they retire, it's hard to sort of re-motivate yourself and sort of refine yourself.
Yeah. So there's a couple questions I want to jump off of that. One is, you said you had to find yourself. What was that kind of like, transitioning from, people see you as an athlete to people need to see you as Langston?
Sure.
What was that process like for you?
I've always made it a point to separate, this is me, this is my career, and this is what I do to support myself and my family, and then this is who I am, these are my passions, these are my pursuits outside of this. I think it's hard for a lot of athletes to do that, because your job in our industry becomes becomes your persona. And it is difficult for guys to make that separation if you want. Some guys, this is who I am, this is what I want to be. They talk about it all the time. Athletes are brands too, and they are. But I think you need to. I think that there has to be a separation. Because you can't walk around with a helmet on 24/7. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
So. and probably illegal.
It's a little awkward.
Or a little awkward.
Yeah.
It's probably awkward.
So then I guess the next question that I wanted to ask from that is, you, professional athletes, specifically NFL, you're making millions of dollars a year. Why did you continue to work? Why did you choose to work?
That's the question they asked me on my interview. I work for a bank, and a pretty big bank, and they specialize in high net worth clients, and that was one of their questions. They were like, "Why aren't you a customer?
Right.
Why are you coming to work for us?" My answer to that was, I get bored, and I knew that if I didn't apply myself, I would become bored, and I would, who knows where that would sort of lead. Idle hands make bad decisions. So, not that bad. But
we all make bad decisions.
Yeah, we all,
part of life.
Yeah. So, that is it. Like I said, it was something that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. The good thing is that, unfortunately, some people are beholden to their jobs and their careers, and I mean, for the most part, let's be honest with ourselves. In order to live, whether that's afford a home, go on vacation, whatever those things are, you have to have money. Mm-hmm. And in order to get money, you have to have a job. Well, not you have to, but right. In order to have money legally, you have to have a job. And whatever that job is, right. And however much money you make, those are the things that, outside of water, air, and love, humans need to survive. So, mm-hmm. Unless we go off the grid and, live in the woods somewhere, and sure. But still, you need something to trade. So yeah. I guess unfortunately, shells.
Something with the tree, or
shells don't work anymore.
It depends on where you are.
You can polish a rock. Yeah, it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
But in California, in the U.S. and everywhere else, that's what sort of makes the world go round, right. Unfortunately. But right. But yes, long story short, I wanted to sort of continue my passion and continue to apply myself, and it's a challenge. Mm-hmm. It's a challenge to me because I don't have to, but I want to, and I want to prove. I hate to say prove to the haters, but it's a personal challenge, saying, hey, redefine yourself, do something new, learn something new every day, and that's why I did it.
Okay, cool. So then I do want to talk about SPAT.
Okay.
But before that, you said you fell into football. Right. So when you were a kid, when somebody asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up, what was that answer?
My parents. So when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a firefighter or a truck driver. Okay. My parents, obviously being well educated, yeah. were like, "Don't you want to own the trucking company?" I was like, "No, I want to drive the truck." Right. I thought that was like the coolest thing. Right. I mean, being a little boy, trucks, tractors, that's, yeah. You play in the dirt, that's what you do. Right. So I went from there to, wanting to, then started on sports. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I was the awkward kid. I can admit that now. I wasn't very good. And then, sort of once I got to high school, I went through this huge growth spurt. Right. Because you're 6'8"? I'm 6'8". So for all you kids out there, keep drinking your milk and pray. When I was a freshman in high school, I was 5'7". Oh, wow. When I graduated, I was 6'7", and then I grew another inch in between high school and college.
Wow.
So it was 3 inches every summer.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was awkward.
Yeah.
But my high school coach saw something, and he just sort of kept on me. I believe he told my parents, I'm gonna make this kid, famous.
Okay.
And that was my high school coach. And my mom, of course, was not sold on it.
Yeah.
And my dad was, typical dad, like, yes.
Yeah.
So, like I said, worked really hard, and got a scholarship, to UC Berkeley, and the rest is sort of history. So that I did stumble into sports.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
And did you grow up a Raiders fan?
I did, but also when I was growing up, the Raiders had moved to LA.
Right.
And so they weren't in Oakland. And at the same time, the 49ers are winning. So,
right.
They won all the Super Bowls. And so I was a dual fan. Also, baseball is my other passion.
Okay.
So I've always been an A's fan.
Nice.
So, yeah.
How do you feel about how the A's are doing right now?
Excellent.
Yeah.
I love it. I think Oakland fans are Oakland fans in general are, whether you were rooting for the Warriors or the Raiders or the A's, very passionate fan base, unique, as we know. And really, it's really unfortunate that, the Raiders are moving to Las Vegas.
Yep.
and the Warriors are coming over here to San Francisco.
Right.
So, but I think the fan base is still there. I know there's going to be some fans that they're gonna get on that plane to Las Vegas every weekend.
Right.
And definitely know that there are going to be some people that are going to cross the bridge for the Warriors.
For sure.
Yeah. So. Yep. Thank you.
So let's jump back into is it called SPAT? Like, is that the acronym?
Yep.
Okay.
Student Program for Athletic and Academic Transitioning.
And did you start that, or
no.
What's your involvement?
I guess my involvement is, Superfan.
Okay.
It actually got started. My college roommate and 2 of his friends from high school, they really started it.
Okay.
And they really drove it. And really what it sort of started off was, as collegiate athletes, you always know of that one guy in high school or girl in high school who had all the athletic talent in the world, but unfortunately just couldn't get it together in the classroom.
Got it.
And just making bad decisions in life, and sort of affected their ability to go to college. And it's sort of how do we support that person? And that's where it really started. And SPAT's doing a great job.
Okay.
They're really they're really trying to help high school athletes get ready for college, whether that's getting scholarships or just sort of navigating that that arena, and also sort of the soft skills that you need. It's at least for the NFL, I forget what the stat is, but it's like half of a half percent of high school athletes that actually make it to the NFL.
Yeah, it's like 0.5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculously small amount.
Yeah, because I think from college it's only maybe 1%.
Right.
So if you go from high school, it's even smaller.
So you think of any professional team, it is the cream of the crop.
Right.
The once every 4 years athlete that actually comprises your professional team.
Right.
And So basically, I think it's great for students to try to use their athletic ability to get into college, but then you have to realize, like, hey, I need a alternate plan, because it's not guaranteed that I'm going to make it to the WNBA, I'm going to make it to the NFL, Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, and basketball. So, so that's really how it started, and that's what they continue to do.
Yeah.
I'm also a member of the Bay Area chapter of the 100 Black Men of America.
Okay.
Same thing, giving back to the community is important.
Yeah.
I've been given so much, I've benefited so much that it's important to me to sort of reach back to someone who's struggling,
right?
Or somebody who just needs a little guidance.
Yeah.
It's really what I think a lot of younger people need, and older people. I mean, I need my own guidance sometimes.
Right.
But really, the 100 Black Men, what they do in the community is mentoring, scholarship. Our chapter's given almost $1.5 million in scholarships since 1985.
Wow.
And goes to students who are excelling in the classroom, but unfortunately that academic, or excuse me, the economic part just might not be there for them, and that is another unfortunate factor. That because of a person's financial background or their parents' financial background, that they can't make it to a college, or the college of their choice. It might have the grades for a Harvard or a Cal, but because of circumstances way out of their control, they just don't have the funds. So we try to fill that gap.
Yeah, because even if they do have the grades, like you said, it's sometimes they don't even know how to navigate to get to that next point.
Taking the standardized tests, ACT, the SAT, applying for college. If you come from a background where your parents never went to college, how do they advise you? Who advises you on how do I apply? The great thing with the internet is, it's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. You go to college website and you download the application and you send it off.
You just have to pay that
$50
you still have to pay,
fee,
but
that they don't give back to you
if you don't get in. Yep.
Still waiting on my money back from St. Mary's.
Yeah.
So hopefully it went to, I don't know, something nice on the school grounds.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so that's I would much rather someone not make it in life because of they just didn't apply themselves, or they just weren't smart enough, than factors that shouldn't inhibit them.
So out of their control.
Out of their control.
So going back to you've played in the NFL, you had a 9-year career. Now you have a job, a really good job. You have your MBA.
It's decent.
I mean,
I tell people no all day. I'm a compliance officer for a bank. I make sure that we stay within regulatory compliance. And it's really, again, it's relationships. Sometimes you have to not massage the truth, but the truth is a little harsh for some people, and so you have to sort of figure out a way to still stay within the rules, but try to find a solution. And I think as sort of a second line, as we call ourselves, the second line of defense for the bank, our clientele is really the first line, who are the bankers and the people making the loans, people actually dealing with clients. So it's really about finding solutions for them, to try to assist their clients in getting what they want, or just sort of tell them, like, we can't do this, and sort of having the backing and support to say that we can't do this.
That's awesome. Solution oriented.
Solution oriented. Yes, I like to. I love when I can just sort of, this is what we should do, and close it. And I think everybody actually enjoys a solution instead of sort of an arbitrary. Well, it's up to you.
Yeah. Right. So if you were to sit your high school self down, what would you tell your high school self knowing what you know now?
Talk to that girl in your math class. Take advantage of opportunities. I can be honest with myself, and I can say that I might not have taken advantage of every opportunity afforded to me for what I can be honest and say stupid high school reasons. Who knows where I would be now? I'm very comfortable with where I am in life. But yeah, I would say, to everyone, take advantage of your opportunities. So.
And you said you had that point between athletic career and real world career to find yourself. Could you have done that prior? Or is there a way to integrate?
The sort of real life of every athlete is your entire world and career can crumble in a moment's notice.
Right.
We've seen it all the time, catastrophic injuries, guys getting cut, released, and at that moment, there is no safety net.
Right.
In terms of playing. We have, benefits and things like that. But, in terms of, your world, as an athlete, your world is your sport.
Right.
And that's what you're focused on. Now a lot of athletes have their outside pursuits. But, really in all honesty, you're one play away every day from not doing what you love.
Right.
And so, that being said, you have to have a backup plan. When I was in college, I broke my ankle pretty bad. I'm not going to get into the gory details, but I looked at it and my ankle was backwards. My foot was backwards.
Yeah.
So, that could have ended my career in college. But luckily, I had great medical staff and doctors sort of put me back together again. And was able to go on. A lot of guys don't have those opportunities, and you see it all the time in the news where for injury reasons guys retire at the height of their careers, or their careers are limited because of injuries. And it does not matter the sport. Obviously football is probably the most violent of the major sports, but it happens in baseball, it happens in basketball. It can happen. And so I think every athlete has that in the back of their mind.
Sure.
That today could be the day. That it's quote unquote my life.
Right.
Is over.
Yeah.
So,
let's dive into the NFL a little bit.
Okay.
So we're talking about injuries.
Right.
The concussions. We're seeing potentially some related where there are some athletes that are committing suicide who are, really struggling with the depression that might be linked back to the concussions. Over and over, you're getting hit. Right. What are your thoughts on the help that they could be getting? Maybe some stigma around not getting help?
It's a real thing. I sometimes wonder if my own forgetfulness is the fact that I'm 38 years old. I have the body of a 60-year-old, or is it the effect of 9 professionally, but then 5 years of college or 4 years of college, and then another 3 years of high school.
Right.
of basically having a car accident every day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically the reality of the sport. So that is a real thing. It is extremely unfortunate. You see a lot of the older players now having issues, real issues. It's not something that they're made up. It's not in their mind.
Right.
They're having real issues, and they're suffering for it. And the interesting thing is, you ask any of us, and I would probably say 99% of at least NFL players would probably say, I would do it all over again. They don't blame the NFL for anything. We made our choice.
Right.
We might not have known exactly what would happen to us,
right,
but we all knew that there would be some kind of after effect.
Sure.
And and not just the fact that we're just getting old. We put a lot of wear and tear on our bodies, and I think guys just want. It's not, I just want. I want. It's not a money grab.
Right.
It's, I want to be supported. This is what happened to me,
right,
and I should be, I should have my my health care, taken care of.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to deep dive into, into that, but could the NFL do a better job? Yes. They're being pushed. I think, and the great thing is they're being pushed by, the public, public awareness, and then also the players.
Yeah.
The concussion settlement was a huge, huge thing, and guys are getting, beginning to get, some of that support that they needed. So that's a great thing, but I definitely think that awareness is important. I get the question all the time, would I let my son play? I would say yeah, probably not until high school. I think when other people ask me this, parents, should I let my kid play Pee Wee? In the end, it's your choice as a parent.
Right.
I'm a new parent, and it's important that I make the decisions that I feel is best for my child.
Right.
But in the end, it's that parent's decision. But honestly, if your child wants to play football, you can learn everything you need from playing flag.
Right.
And then once you get to that point, where your body is ready for it, if you still want to play, high school, I think at that point your bodies are ready for that impact. But until then, play the soccers, play the baseballs, play all those sports. Really what it is you're learning to work within a team.
Yeah.
And that's really what you have to learn. The physical element of sport is pretty easy,
right,
when you really break it down.
Right.
But the complicated element is working with others, and that teammate and camaraderie. Those are the things that are important.
Right.
So, but getting back to sort of the whole concussions and things like that, it's it is very real, and it's not just sort of an older player thing. You see a lot of players from my generation. You see some guys now that are having effects because of playing the sport.
Right.
So.
And so are there groups that players can go back to and either talk with someone or?
They are, I will say this, the NFL is getting better from maybe in the 80s and 90s when, if a team cut you loose, that's it.
Right.
I think teams started to realize that it's not just about the physical element of your player. You know, it's mental. Excuse me. You know, they started bringing in sports psychologists, you know, that we could talk to, and not just about, you know, the problem that you have with your coach or the guy next to you,
right.
About life things that affect, you know, your play, and your performance, because in the end, that's really what you're judged on.
Right.
So, you know, they definitely have those opportunities while you are playing, and now they've started to have different groups and organizations where, you know, guys after they're playing post-career can then find support, because that's sort of another thing that I don't think a lot of people realize, is that when you're in that team element, you're constantly supported,
right.
you know, by your teammates, by your coaches, you know, whoever that is.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have that, you're just sort of, you're lost. You know, you're out there. You know, guys can get lost. You know, and you know, you got to reel them back in.
Right.
You know, it takes a support group to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I can be honest with myself and say I went through a bout of depression.
Sure.
You know, after my playing career was over. You know, a lot of guys, I found my support system through my family, and through some of these, you know, other organizations, friends, and I was able to sort of to regroup and, like I said, find myself. Yeah. A lot of guys, you know, depression is real, you know, and causes some people to have some really dark thoughts. Yeah. And we've seen the outcome of those. Yeah. So, you know, I will say the NFL is getting better at that. I think a lot of different, you know, sports are getting better at supporting post-career, because that's really what's most important. Right. It's not just about. I mean, you can have all the money in the world. You know, you can be the top paid player ever. You know, but still unhappy and still think that your life is not, you know, is not great. Right. You know,
especially post playing,
you know, even during, you know, during your career, you know, you never really, you look at some people and you're like, man, that guy's got the life. Right. You know, or that you know, woman has the life. You know, she's best in her sport, best person on her team, making, you know, good money, family, you know, all that. And to them, they don't feel that way. Right. You know, they feel that they're failures, or they could do better. And, you know, the mind is probably the most powerful, you know, thing. And I mean, you train your mind, you can, you know, you teach somebody to run through a wall. Right. You know, and you can make someone believe that they can, you know, they can do anything. Right. And at the same time, you can also, you know, that mind can also say, hey, you know, end your life. You know, your life's not that great. Anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. You know, so, you know, I think that's an important, you know, factor that, you know, we need to be honest. Yeah. As men, as obviously then you throw on top of that, you're in this super masculine sport. Right. You know, so it's hard to be maybe honest about that. As I found it, you know, initially very hard to be honest, you know, about that. And I'm sure, I'm just speaking for myself, but, you know, I'm sure that, you know, without falling into, you know, all the stereotypes, you know, the you know, women in sport, you know, have the same, you know, sort of things, because, you know, not only, I mean, yes, you're, you know, women, but then, you know, you're playing, you know, sport, and you're competing, and how those, you know, all those things sort of work, you know, together. Right. But I think, you know, mental illness, mental health, important, you know, all important things. So. Yeah.
There's a Kaiser commercial. We're not plugged by Kaiser. With Steph and the float pod. Have you
Yes.
seen that one?
Mm-hmm.
And we're...
I've done the float pod. It's have you done it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. There's a great one in San Francisco. I'm not going to say the name,
Okay.
but it's a really good one.
Is it in the marina? I think I know which one you're talking about.
I don't know.
Might be the one that Steph goes to. And I love that it shows his mind, and that he trains his mind, that he does have those thoughts of, you know, people talk about him and, oh, he's not the greatest, is he the greatest? That he actually does think about those things.
Right.
And it humanizes him, that he's not just the star athlete, he's human.
Right. I think, unfortunately for fans, it's hard to, some fans, not all fans, some of you guys out there really, really thoughtful. I've had some really great conversations with people on airplanes especially. I don't know what it is about being trapped inside a vessel. Going at like,
open up.
You just open up, you know, especially everyone's, you know, I'm gonna be nice because usually I'm spilling over into your seat. So I'm gonna be like, well, I can't be an a-hole.
Right.
Can we cuss on this?
Sure.
Okay. You can't be an asshole. You know, when you're spilling over into someone's seat.
Right.
But that's how God made me.
Yeah.
So, you know, you start to open up to people, and you know, that's not my opening line, but people make the guess, and I'll be honest about it. I'm like, yes, that is, you know, what I do or did.
Right.
And you know, so you start to talk to things about that. But you know, your mind is very powerful,
right.
and sometimes, you know, especially, you know, in the Twitter, Facebook era, you know, a fan or a hater or a troll, they can reach you directly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, if you have Kevin Durant's burner account, he might respond to you.
Yeah.
Which I think is like the greatest thing
Yeah.
ever. Like, you have like a burner account.
Yeah.
That like defends you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, so.
Don't have to worry about it.
Right. Like, don't worry about it, Kevin.
Yeah, I got
You're
you.
still great. So, you know, it's, we're human beings. I hate to, I don't know.
Blow some people's minds.
Yeah, we're humans. Yeah, we're
You're
human
not a
beings.
superhero.
And I put my socks on one foot at a time. I go grocery shopping. I'm not going to tell you where I live, but you might find me in my local 24-hour Safeway. You know, sometime around 11:30 at night, because I go in there, you get the freshest food.
Right.
The stockers don't bother you.
Yep.
And I'm not having to pull things off the top shelf for old ladies. So,
Yeah.
you know, I live in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna, you know, like I said, I'm not gonna tell you where. But yeah, if you find me and you say, "Hey, are you Langston Walker?" Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But yes, we are human beings.
Yeah.
We have our ups, our downs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing about my job now is, my work is not necessarily public, you know, for public consumption.
Right.
I can't have, you know, no one on Twitter says, "Langston, that email you wrote was piss poor." You know, that, or, you know, that decision you made was, you know, was horrible.
Right.
But, you know, when you're out there under the lights and in front of 70,000 plus people,
right.
You know, some people are going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
You know, so I find that fun,
yeah.
engaging with fans, and there's always, you know, there's a little respect, you know, there, and you know, but at the same time, I think some people can go too far.
Sure.
You know, we start attacking people's families, and even going farther than that. You don't have to get into that, but
yeah.
you know, it's I realize that we're out there creating a product, you know, for people to consume, and you know, all I'm saying is respect.
Yeah.
You know, respect us.
Yeah. We want to talk about mental health issues.
Yes.
Go into that too, but it's another episode.
Another episode. Yeah, I get on twice. Has that happened before?
Yeah. Make it happen.
All right.
Any other recommendations, advice, something you want to share?
No. You know, I appreciate, you know, all the opportunities I've been given, this one included. I'm glad, you know, and I hope that, you know, people out there watching, you know, they you know, this sort of sparks, you know, their mind to go further, you know, in life. And, you know, that's what's really, you know, in the end, that's really important, you know, respect for your fellow man or woman, or animal, the planet, you know. I think, you know, we've gotten away from that, and I think that's contributing to some of the things that we see in the world today, not just in the U.S. but across the world. So, and I know it's a lot more complicated than that. Sure. You know, I'm not Simple Simon, but you know, I try to break down, you know, issues and problems into very simple, solvable issues, because that's really the only way that you're gonna resolve a lot of issues. Yeah,
there's a quote that I've been quoting a lot. There's a band called Nako and Medicine for the People, and their music is definitely medicine for the people.
Excellent.
And there's a line that the lead singer says, "Change begins with me, and I reflect it back to you."
Very true.
Make the movement move.
Yep.
Because all you can really change is within yourself.
Right.
And then that will have that ripple effect out.
It all starts with one.
Yep.
All starts with one.
Yep.
So, yep.
Thank you so much for opening up.
You're welcome.
And being honest and truthful and sharing. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. No
cool.
problem. So,
all right. Folks, that's another episode. We're out. Much love.